ever where Kody left Robyn's house to come over to my house to help get my kids off to school. I just think it's disgusting. You would leave one wife's home to go help the other wife's kids get ready for school. Can't she help get her kids ready for school when he's not there so he can spend more time with the wife where he's at?
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, October 20th, 2023, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, nothing is more dramatic than a family of polygamists blowing up, divorcing, separating, and all of the sister wives pointing fingers at the other about, you're a bad sister wife, you're a bad sister wife, it's my fault, it's your fault, everyone's fault, but Kody's fault is no fault, and Robyn is always being hurt by everyone. And in this episode, next week, coming on Sunday, Christine Brown is going to talk about the preferential treatment that Robyn received in her marriage with Kody. And this should really surprise no one. I mean, this is a woman that when she married Kody, walked into this massive family and acted like she owned the dang joint. Remember? Remember how she was all like, I get the same amount of time with Kody even though I'm not a sister wife and married to him yet?
I don't think he should be saying 1 out of every 4 nights he spends time with Robyn. That's not fair to me. When they're married, she gets equal time.
I disagree with it. I disagreed with it because of the fact that the courtship had to go for so long. So it was hard for me to have Christine say that. But as far as time, that was needed. That was absolutely needed for the kids, for me to build this relationship with him.
Let's also not forget that before Kody and Robyn were ever married, she kissed him when they were still dating, which is completely against the rules of the Apostolic United Brethren. People are not supposed to kiss before they're actually married over in the temple, their temple, the Apostolic United Brethren's temple, and sealed for time and all eternity. And remember how Christine was so upset by the fact that Kody and Robyn had kissed and she felt like she had been betrayed by him. And Robyn was basically just like blaming Kody for kissing her and then just going along with it. And then she still was kissing him, knowing full well that it upset Christine and the other sister wives. And then on top of that, do you remember she went dress shopping with all the wives and then made the decision that she was going to go dress shopping with Kody? And then she picked the dress out with Kody, and then she decided to keep it a secret, which then made Christine really upset. And then she said, well, I just didn't think you guys needed to know that, and I just wanted to keep it a secret. She walked in wanting to keep secrets.
I picked the dress.
You're the groom. Did you really?
I picked the dress.
Like you cared what I wore at all on our wedding. I mean, that wasn't even, you didn't even care. Sorry.
It wasn't funny to me either. It was actually something that I had to ask him, not to share with anybody. For the sake of sort of protecting both experiences, I didn't feel it was necessary for you guys to know that,
Robyn came from a world where she was the first wife in a monogamous marriage. She was married for like 7 or 8 years. She watched her mom be in 2 separate polygamous marriages, one where she was the first wife and one where she was the second wife, and she had to hide and pretend like she wasn't married to her stepdad. So Robyn walks into this family wanting to join a plural family, but then also not wanting to have the life that her mom had, where she had to pretend like she wasn't a wife. And she clearly walked into the family not wanting to be the 4th wife and instead wanting to be the head wife from the very beginning and making demands for special treatment from the very beginning. And Kody went along with it. So Kody gave her whatever she wanted, and Robyn in turn made him feel special by wanting to do all these things with him privately together as a couple. That wasn't conducive with a plural family. And again, If they weren't in if they were in a monogamous relationship, none of this would have mattered, because she and him going to get the wedding dress, weird. Not all brides do that with their grooms, but it happens. But the fact that it's a plural family, it breeds jealousy, and it breeds inequities, and it breeds insecurity, and it's just another reason why plural marriage doesn't work. But it's another reason why Robyn was not fit for plural marriage. Any way you look at it. So going into this episode to have Christine discuss the special treatment, we just should not be surprised.
Lehigh, Logan was getting my kids ready to go out the door to school. I don't know where Kody was.
I was actually taking Ariella and Solomon to school because I liked it. We were just working so hard to make ends meet before. And now that I have a chance to do this with Solomon and Ari, it's like this, it's like this second chance.
So Janelle says when they were back in Lehigh, Logan was the one that was getting the kids up every day to go to school. And Christine was doing her kids in the morning. And then Mary had Leon, who was capable of getting themselves up to go to school. And Mary was working, Janelle was working, Kody was working. And she's all, I don't know where Kody was. I mean, Kody was working a lot. He said at the time, 60 hours a week. I don't think Kody cared to help any of the moms get the kids ready for school. And Kody, when he is discussing this, is like, well, with Saul and Ariella, I want to make up for lost time because I didn't get to do this with the other kids because we were scraping by trying to make ends meet. What he's not telling you is that scraping by trying to make ends meet was Kody racking up debt on credit cards because he couldn't afford all of the children that he was having with all of these wives. Their income wasn't enough because they didn't have stable employment, and he was lazy. And you add that to the fact that he and the wives all filed bankruptcy within, 10 years. He has multiple wives on food stamps. And so he's like ignoring the fact that he was going over to Robyn's when she was in Vegas to help get the kids ready. And when she moved to Lehigh, he was always over there helping her with the kids because she would always say that she needed help. Because for whatever reason, I mean, she did have a son that is on the autism spectrum, which would make potentially it more challenging, but she always had help. She had nannies, she had McKelty, she had one of the older daughters helping her always. Whenever she needed something with like moving or doing something at her house, Kody would always send the boys over. She always needed help. And that's why Kody would go over there, because she would always play like the damsel in distress. And it drove Janelle bonkers that she would act like that, because she acted like she couldn't ever do anything on her own. So this is not new. And so for Kody to pretend like it's just Ari and Saul, Ari just started kindergarten last season. So she's in probably first grade this season. I think she's in second or third grade now. Either way, he was doing this back in Vegas and in Lehigh with our Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton. It's not new. And Christine was working on top of being a stay-at-home mom. He just doesn't ever want to talk about what he did that was different. He never wants to take ownership. And again, all of this wouldn't matter if they just would have been monogamists. But because he decided to be a plural husband and be a narcissistic polygamist, he had a duty to treat these women equitably, and he didn't. He failed.
But Robyn never asked me to do it.
I'd be like, oh, I think it's gonna create problems. When I would bring it up to him, he'd just like, stop it. Like, this is what I wanna do.
It's always amazing to me that Robyn can never remember, or she denies that she ever did the thing that Christine says that she did. Christine said that she asked Kody for help and then he never gave her help, but that when Robyn needed help, he was always there. So clearly this is what she's talking about. Robyn was needing help in the morning and Kody was there. Kody always defends Robyn and pretends like it's his decision and it was his choice. And it may have well been his choice, but Robyn likely laid the groundwork and said to Kody, oh, it's so hard to get him up in the morning. I can't do it by myself. It's so stressful. I don't know what I'm doing. If I don't get help, I might leave. If I don't get help, I might do this. I mean, she was always acting like that back in the early seasons. Like when the kids would get into fights, she'd be like, oh, if we don't get this together, the kids could leave the family. If the kids don't figure this out, they could go live with their dad, which would be like propelling Kody to think that he needed to adopt them. Or she would act like it was just so hard for her to do anything by herself. Like she would have an emergency at her house that would require Kody to come over. Someone didn't feel good. One of the girls needed help with something. Whatever it was, she always had a fire that Kody needed to put out. And Kody just would go running there because she would play the damsel. And Janelle actually called her out about this, like maybe for season 3 or 4. And she said that it drove her bonkers to watch how Robyn would play the damsel in distress, constantly like needing Kody's attention and affection and help. And then Kody always going to rescue her so that he could play the hero. And then Kody would say that he had a savior complex because he likes to save people. So Robyn would play to his savior complex and want him to save her all the time. And she would lay the groundwork where she wouldn't even have to ask for help. She would just complain that she had a problem and then he would go fix it. So she didn't have to ask for help. That's the thing, is she'll like deny responsibility, but she did ask. She just didn't ask directly. And she did it intentionally by manipulating him. My opinion.
I'm tired of being blamed for the bad sister wife. A bad sister wife is someone who just monopolizes the husband so he has no time for anybody else.
A bad sister wife takes her kids away from her husband. And that's exactly what Christine has done. Robyn's not guilty of that. Robyn's just loyal, and Christine just wasn't.
Have you ever noticed that lately this season, Kody's always looking off camera? Like he's looking off like there's someone that's watching him that's not the producer or the editor. I almost feel like Robyn is in the room with him while he's having these conversations, and he's like saying something and then looking at her off to the side or over to the left or wherever he's looking. And it's like, did I say it right? Did I get it right? Because he always can explain everything away. And he didn't even respond to this. And what I also find interesting, and I don't know if this will be in the clip in the full episode, but he responds for Robyn. Not for himself, not for what Christine said. He responds for Robyn. And his response doesn't even make sense. Christine says a bad sister wife is one that monopolizes all of the time of the husband so that he doesn't have any time or resources for anyone else. I would agree that if you are in a plural family where everything is supposed to be equitable, that one sister wife should be getting the same amount of time as everyone else. And when there's 4 wives, I was actually looking at this, the time frames of how much time he was spending with each wife, if he did what he was supposed to be doing. 4 wives, everyone getting a day every 4th day, right? That's 7.5 days that they get with their husband a month. That means 7.5 days that their kids get access to their father a month. 7.5 days. That's not a lot. If a parent was divorced and they got every weekend, they would get 8 days a month, and that would be divorced. But this is a man that's not split from his wives, and he sees his kids every 4th day, 7.5 days a month. And you have to remember that he's going over there at night. He's only seeing them for a few hours. A large portion of that time is actually sleeping. If it happens to fall on a weekday, he's not seeing the kids during the weekday. He's seeing them at night before they go to sleep and then in the morning. And what Christine is saying is that when he would wake up in the morning, instead of staying with the wife that he was with, he would run back over to Robyn's house. Robyn would always say that Kody was never there and that he was always on the go. But Robyn lies about everything. Even McKelty called her a liar. So we know that Robyn is like the least credible person on the planet when it comes to anything to do with her narrative and with her memory. So Kody's response is not to say she didn't monopolize my time. It's that a bad sister wife takes her kids from her husband. That has nothing to do with how she treated sister wives. In fact, it has nothing to do at all with anything. It has to do with being a wife. And that doesn't have, she didn't take her kids from him. And if Kody is so bent on Christine moving to Utah with Truly, why hasn't he opened up a case for custody? Why hasn't he requested custody? Why hasn't he filed for child custody? Why isn't he fighting her in court if he's so mad about it? Because he's not. He's not fighting her. There's no custody cases open, neither in Utah or in Arizona. Because why? Because he probably doesn't want to pay child support. If he fights for custody, then he has to pay child support. If he files for custody, then he has to like claim this kid on their taxes. If he cared, he would do the bare minimum, but he doesn't. So instead he just says, she took the kids from me. That's not even an excuse, and it doesn't explain why she's saying that Robyn monopolized all of his time. And why isn't Robyn responding? Why can't Robyn fight her own battles? Because when Robyn would be confronted with this, she would say, well, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. Kody made that decision. He decided he needed to do that. I had no part of that. She'd play dumb. If Kody wanted to be a husband to just Robyn, he should have just left the other wives, and they should have just ended the show when it started. But Kody and Robyn were greedy. Very greedy. Robyn never wanted to be the fourth wife. She wanted to be the head wife. She systematically worked through the family, convinced Kody that he needed to adopt her kids, convinced him that he needed to, in order to do that, she had to be the legal wife. Once she became the legal wife, they basically run off into the sunset, ignore everyone, dip out on the whole entire family, and then the rest of them are on a show pretending like they're still married to him, but they're not. And they just kept going on with the charade because they're greedy and they're both shopping addicts and they both have expensive taste. And neither one of them had employment that would have ever met this lifestyle prior to the show. He wouldn't have a 900 or a 4,500 square foot home that's worth $2 million in Flagstaff, drive a Lexus, and have all these different toys, and have a wife that wears Tiffany's jewelry and David Yurman jewelry and Rolex watches, and he wears Rolex watches. None of that would have been available without the show. So he kept going with this lie because he and her were greedy. And now they're both found out, and it's like, you guys just wanted to be monogamous, but you didn't because you were greedy. I hope all of their lies just keep getting called out because this is nonsense, and good for Christine. But Kody, I think he's scared of Robyn because he's always looking off camera. I bet you she is hell. I bet you when you don't do what she wants, you catch hell. I bet you she's that woman. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.